There have been huge macro developments over the weekend, and in this video, I'm going to give a quick macro update as well as a company-specific update, right? So, three things that we're going to be talking about. Number one, Chinese and US negotiations. How is it going? What is happening there? Number two, we're going to be talking about the India and also Pakistan ceasefire. And number three, we're going to be talking about HIMS, right? So HIMS actually upsized their bond offering from the last prospectus, right? The last prospectus was 450 million, and later when we take a look at the press release, you're going to see it's a big number, right? So Chinese delegations seem to be leaving of venue of Geneva trade negotiations with the US. Unclear if talks will continue, right? So when this was posted, actually all of Twitter was panicking, right? Panic, you know? Chinese delegation seen leaving, right? They're not gonna talk with witnesses, right? And this is the issue with headlines and also news reports, right? Because these news outlets want you to click as much as possible and share as much as possible, they add in things like this, right? Unclear if talks will continue. So this, maybe a witness actually said that, or maybe they put that in because it increases their viewership, right? But when you take a look at the next page, you can see that members of delegation seen leaving venue of Geneva trade and then blah, blah, blah. And then after that, you can see Chinese and US officials return to Geneva trade talks venue in Geneva after a break, right? So you can't 100% depend on the headlines to make trades, right? Imagine you were like trading crypto or something over the weekend and you see something like this. So you go max short on crypto because of this news, right? And then turns out actually they were just on their lunch break, right? And then after they return, maybe the stuff rebound, and then you lose money on this kind of news lines or these outlets basically wanting you to panic or something like that, right? So be very, very vigilant with this, right? So next, we have Donald Trump saying that many things discussed, much agreed to, right? And then they talked about wanting to reset trade and all of that stuff, right? So I think obviously Trump always posturing, right? Because Trump always, you know, it's the greatest deal. It's the best deal you've ever seen. So yeah, Trump is always doing something like that, even though when it's minor, but it's like hyping up the deal, right? That's why he's so popular and he's such a great salesman, right? Because he makes people see things that are not even there or are bigger than it's actually there, right? So he sells people a vision, right? So next, when we take a look at Pakistan and also the ceasefire in India, right? India and Pakistan, you know that over the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they have started a war or something like that, right? Because there was a lot of escalation on the borders, and then we started seeing bombings and stuff like that. But even after this ceasefire agreement, you can see that there were blasts heard in India's Jammu city, projectile seen in the sky, and then town in India's Jammu facing drone attacks, right? Hours after the Pakistan-India ceasefire. So this might be because top officials haven't really communicated or the channels get lost, right? You're in a war, right? You're not on the your Twitter scrolling all the time, right? So you're fighting a war, maybe some things have not been communicated properly, and then things like this can happen, right? So hopefully there's no more escalation there, because India and Pakistan obviously have a very, very bad history, right? So my stance on it is always there are reasons to go to war, but war is always bad and always destructive, right? That's just my personal opinion on it, right? So the next item on the docket is actually HIMS and hers, right? They priced a 870 million convertible senior note offering to accelerate expansion and utilization of AI in healthcare, right? So this was actually upsized from 450 million just like 1-2 days ago, right? So this is actually pretty big news, right? And in this article also they review what are the deal terms and also what are they doing with the money and things like that, right? So this is very interesting, especially as a HIMS investor. So if I had to summarize, basically here are the few main points, right? They raised 870 million at 0.00%, right? So they're not paying any interest on it, right? And just think about how much demand there is for the stock, right? If something like this is happening, because if you raise 870 million and there's a provision where they can raise another like almost up to a billion, right? I think the net proceeds is about 940 to 960 million. So if it's 960 million, let's just call it a billion, and you put it in a bank, right? And you can get like 5% a year. That's 250 million risk-free, right? And I think HIMS can do much, much better than that, right? So you can see that it was previously announced that it was 450 million of aggregate principal just a day before, right? And instantly after the day, they know that they can price another like 870 million, right? So you can see that here is the 130 million that I was talking about, bringing the total up to almost a billion, right? Because there's fees and stuff like that, right? So they intend to use the money for general corporate purposes, basically they hired a new CTO and also a COO, right? And they want to give the CTO and also COO some money to play with, right? And I feel like this is him basically going from a mid-size or small-size company to a larger company that has like proper management and CTO. Not to say that the previous management was not proper, it's just that they didn't have so much experience leading a large company, right? Compared to all these people which they just hired, which have like 10, 20, 30 years of experience, right? So you can read through the article in detail, right? But a few things I want to highlight. You can see that the strike price is actually $70, right? And guess who said it was $70 in the past video, right? This guy. So it was just a lucky guess, right? Not really that I knew exactly what was going to happen and stuff like that, right? When you take a look here, 968 million for the net proceeds, right? If the purchasers exercise fully their options, right? And I expect they will, right? Because if there wasn't this kind of demand, they wouldn't put in the option, right? Or maybe it's to make their numbers look a bit nicer, right? If the options get fulfilled. So in the one of the last parts of this article, it says that they will enter a cap call transaction at $89.95, right? So I did a bit of digging into what a cap call is after the last video, right? Because in the last video, I said I had no idea what a cap call is, right? And basically what a cap call is, essentially is a derivative or option to not let there be too much dilution, right? Because imagine if him share is like $500, just a pie in the sky number, $500, and these senior notes get converted. Obviously, they will have a lot of profits, right? And a lot of dilution as well. So this represents a 75% premium over the closing price, right? And also the closing date is 13, right? So if you take a look, the closing date is May 13, right? So this is very, very good, right? By next Monday or Tuesday, by next Tuesday, HIMS will have another $1 billion in the bank, right? And I can't stress how big this is, right? If you're enjoying the video so far, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. This will help out the channel immensely, and I thank you very much. So if I want to break down why people are offering them money at 0.00%, there could be two reasons, right? So first, obviously, they might think the stock upside is more than the interest that they can get, right? Let's say if it's 5%, but the strike price is, let's say, $80, then they would rather have the 0% and the $70 strike price, right? So that may be the first reason. The second reason I think is also very, very possible is regarding the short interest, right? HIM's short interest is actually very, very high, right? So what potentially people might be doing is that they might be buying these convertible senior notes and either writing some options or something to harvest the IV, right? And then they know that we have this convertible senior note, so we cannot lose so much money on this, and some way to hedge their position, right? Another option might be that some institutions are losing a lot of money on the short trades, so they might buy this to somehow hedge out their position, right? These are just some possibilities floating in my head. It's not like 100% because there's no news article or anything doing this, right? This is just some of my speculation and some of my thoughts on this, right? So the last item on the docket that I want to cover is actually crypto, right? You can see crypto has been doing really well over the past 7 days, right? Bitcoin maybe not so much, but it's been performing really well compared to past cycles, and also it's kind of like an institutional asset now, right? But when you take a look at Ethereum, up nearly 40%. Everyone was shitting on Ethereum. It was like $1,400 just like a month ago, and now it's almost $2,600, right? $2,500. So almost a double from 1 month ago. And then obviously not performing as well as HIM stock, but when you take a look at these other things, the past 7 days, 40%, 25%. So you get the point, right? So there's a lot of price action in crypto. So what are my thoughts on this, right? You can see that if we are entering like a real crypto like bull market, right? And I would say the crypto bull markets have been lasting kind of short, right? Except for Bitcoin, but for altcoins, they've just been going up and then getting destroyed, going up, getting destroyed. So this is a chart of Aptos, right? And Aptos is one of this ex-Facebook founded kind of companies. You can see that since the November bottom, it just boomed here, and then after that, from the start of the year of 2023, it just went all the way down, and then the same thing happened like 3 times, right? So if we were to repeat history, I would say we have at least like 1, 2, or maybe even 3 months left of the crypto bull market, in my opinion, right? So for Bitcoin, I'm not sure because there's always funds flowing into Bitcoin now, right? It's not the asset that you think of in 2017 where you have these huge booms and bust cycles, right? But you can see for altcoins, Aptos is just an example, right? If you take a look at the other charts, it's pretty much the same, right? Or even worse, right? Some just like go straight down, right? So this you can see is trading like up, down, up, down, up, down. So in the past few cycles, using Aptos as an example, you can see that the altcoins have been performing maybe like 4 to 6 months of bull market, right? So if this pattern holds, maybe we have another few months of a bull market to run, right? Obviously, it's not going to go straight up, right? Even you see that in this bull market, it's basically up, and then this is a 30% move down, right? And then another move up, right? So maybe we can see something like this or something like this, right? So by the peak, it wouldn't surprise me if Aptos was $10 to $12, right? So full disclosure, I do have a long position in Aptos, right? Opened it around $5. So this is just because I'm just speculating, right? This is not a big portion of my portfolio. So don't go all in crypto or something like that just because you saw, oh, historically, you know, we have another 3 months, right? It's possible we have 3 months, or it's also possible that this happens, right? And it goes up here and then it just like this, right? So yeah, that's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. With that being said, have a fantastic day ahead and peace out.